Welcome to another episode of the Kickoff Culture Show. A lot has happened since the last week, and I'm excited to jump right into it. So let's kick off this show. As always, we're going to jump into the coaching carousel. And I think it's the last bit of head coaches to get hired before the offseason. And that's Ben Schottenheimer was hired by the Cowboys. And this kind of flew under the radar. They did it at like midnight. So I don't even think Dallas was really happy to hire him. But we'll see if he can make a name for himself. The Raiders get Pete Carroll to come out of retirement to try to revamp their franchise, and he has a lot of work to do, but he's a good enough coach to do something like that. So I'm interested in how the Raiders develop and what moves they make to try to become a better team. And finally, the Jaguars get Liam Cohen. I'll play the clip for you guys.
Duval. Here we go.
Duval, man. And I think that kind of wraps up the coaching carousel. I don't really see any big moves happening anymore. And now it's just kind of hiring staff around them. And also the Pro Bowl games just happened last weekend. I am not a fan of them anymore. They are not the same as they used to be. They are just running around playing flag football. They're not actually competing at the highest level anymore. We have running backs playing quarterbacks. It's not fun to watch, in my opinion, like that used to be. Not fun anymore. I think the score ended up being like 73-59 or something like that. That is a college basketball score. That is not an NFL football score. The idea of the Pro Bowl is kind of being down the drain. I get players want to stay healthy and not like they don't want to get injured before the offseason or have season-ending injuries in a game that doesn't actually like matter. But I feel like they could do things. The NFL could do things in a way to make the Pro Bowl matter, and the skill position games, those are fun, but the actual Pro Bowl game itself is not entertaining to watch. And people have thrown out ideas of the two worst teams going at it for the first overall pick. That seems like it's not as good either because it's still the same problem of players going at it in a game that doesn't necessarily matter. It matters for the franchise because they would get a first overall pick, but the players themselves, it might be like a replacement player. So that doesn't seem like the players would back up an idea like that. But there needs to be some sort of middle ground for this. Fans have to pay a bunch of money to go to watch flag football, and I don't think that's fair to them. But I mean, players seem to have fun with it, and I guess that's what matters in the NFL for the Pro Bowls, because they worked really hard to get into that position and even be there. But it used to be about the AFC and the NFC showing who are the better players, who's the better conference, and just grinding out a match to just prove that they're more competitive and better than the other team. And it's not really like that anymore, but I guess times have changed. And with the Pro Bowl games, you get the NFL award winners, and there was a lot of controversy with that. I'm not going to start with MVP. I'm going to start with Coach of the Year, which was Kevin O'Connell, and Dan Campbell came in second with 19 first place votes. Andy Reid with 4 first place, Sean Payton with 1, and Dan Quinn with 1. Kevin O'Connell won it with 25, and I agree with this. Kevin O'Connell did a great job with the Vikings. No one was expecting them to be a 14-win team, and what he did with Sam Darnold was pretty spectacular. So I think he deserves the Coach of the Year there. Comeback Player of the Year ended up being Joe Burrow. I disagree with that. I don't even think that Joe Burrow was really coming back from anything, and he blew the votes out of the water. He had 31 first place votes and 370 points. Next person was J.K. Dobbins, and he only had 195 points. In my opinion, J.K. Dobbins or Sam Darnold should have won that award, especially with the year that Sam Darnold had, even though right at the last like 2 games he just completely crumbled. That's still an amazing season that he had in its entirety. Joe Burrow had an amazing season too, but he's Joe Burrow. He is an amazing player, so he's not really coming back from anything. Also, J.K. Dobbins, like coming back from injury, that's why he would have been my vote. But just to see how big of a gap it was between them, I'm kind of surprised. And Damar Hamlin makes it again, the first player in history to be on the list in back-to-back years and also not win it either. A lot of people are upset that he didn't win it. He should have won it last year over Joe Flacco. But I don't agree with him being on the list this year just because he was already back in the league. What happened with him on the field and almost dying on the field and then coming back, that all happened last year. That he wasn't a comeback player this year. He already came back, but it was last year. So I don't agree with him being on the list, but I'm glad he's doing great. He's becoming a better football player. But again, I think Sam Darnold or J.K. Dobbins should have won this and not Joe Burrow. Jared Verse wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. He kind of just, it was almost unanimous. He had 37 first place votes. Quinyon Mitchell had 9 in second place. I'm a little surprised that Cooper DeJean didn't get as many votes as he did. He was everyone kept talking about him pretty highly, and he got 4th place. No first place votes, only 5 second place votes. So I was a little surprised about that. But Jared Verse is a monster, and he deserved to win it. Quinyon Mitchell could have easily have also won it, but he didn't even come close. It was 427 to 239. These defensive players in this draft are going to be stellar and great, grow to be superstars in this league. Offensive Rookie of the Year, hands down, Jaden Daniels completely flipped around the Commanders' offense and took them to the playoffs and won a playoff game and could have been the first rookie to win an NFC championship game, but they just came short. But Jaden Daniels has a bright, bright future in the NFL. He's a very smart player, and he definitely deserved to win this award. Defensive Player of the Year was Patrick Surtain. His stats weren't very flashy this year, but his work on the field was spectacular and shut down a lot of receivers this year. I think that kind of like reflects stats. If you're a corner and receivers aren't getting the ball and you're not getting the ball thrown your way, that means you're not going to get stats. So him not having interceptions and just shutting corner receivers down makes sense here. Just like Darrelle Revis, those times that he was a lockdown corner, just wouldn't get the ball thrown his way, he just completely shut down one side of the field. Trey Hendrickson gets second place with 205 points. Myles Garrett was 3rd, TJ Watt 4th, and Zach Bond is 5th. I thought that Bond should have been higher on this list. I actually would put him above TJ Watt. TJ Watt kind of disappeared in the last 5 games of the season, didn't record a single stat, not even a tackle. And Zach Bond comes from special teams and becomes an absolute centerpiece of this Eagles defense. So if anything, I would have had him 3rd above Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. But his future is also looking bright, and I'm interested in how he plays in the Super Bowl tomorrow and how his career progresses from here on out. Offensive Player of the Year was Saquon Barkley. That wasn't even close. 35 first place votes. Lamar Jackson got 12. Derrick Henry won. Joe Burrow got one. And Josh Allen got one. Saquon didn't win the MVP. So he had to win something, of course, because he played spectacular. And he definitely deserved to win it with the season he had, rushing 2,000 yards, being the cornerstone of this Eagles offense. And he's just been looking spectacular doing it. I am very, very surprised that Jamar Chase did not even get a single vote winning the Triple Crown and the stats that he put up. Because I think if it wasn't Barkley, it should have been Chase. I think Chase should have been in second place, but he is not even on this list, which is criminal. And that kind of just shows you how overvalued, no, I guess I can't say overvalued, but how quarterbacks are looked upon in the league. I honestly don't even think Offensive Player of the Year quarterbacks should be on the ballots. I think it should be wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, and the MVP should just be a quarterback award. It already is. So I don't know why it's not just MVPs go to quarterbacks, Offensive Player of the Year goes to the other skill positions. That would make a lot more sense to me. MVP, Josh Allen won MVP. It was down to the wire between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and Josh Allen sneaks away with the win. Do I agree with this? Based on the terminology of most valuable player, yes. Josh Allen is the best player on his team and helped carry his team to the playoffs and beat Lamar Jackson as well in the playoffs and almost took them to the Super Bowl single-handedly. He increased the value of his players around him, and I don't think Lamar Jackson necessarily did that. I think Lamar Jackson having Derrick Henry on his team did help him significantly, and he had an even better season this year than when he won MVP. But I think he had a better supporting cast around him than Josh Allen, which then in terms gives Josh Allen the MVP. Josh Allen had 383 points. Lamar Jackson had 362. So it's not like Josh Allen ran away with it. People still looked at Lamar's stats: 1,000 yards rushing, 4,000 passing, which is incredible to accomplish in the NFL. Barkley had 120, but I am glad to see Josh Allen win this. I'll play the clip of Josh Allen watching a little video of him being appreciated, I'll just say. I won't spoil anything.
Hi, Josh.
What's up, Josh?
Hey, Josh Allen. Hi, Josh. We miss you.
Dear Josh Allen, you're pretty
Abby.
cool. And if you don't win the MVP, then the NFL will be getting a strongly worded email from me, Maeve Garvey.
Thank you for always helping the hospital. Hi, you remember me? I gave you my bracelet 2 years ago, and you wore it the whole season.
Dear Josh, you might recognize me from designing your cleats. In 2023, I was at Oshai Children's Hospital on the 10th floor, the Patricia Allen wing. And every night I would see your picture on the wall. I would always think, what if I met Josh Allen?
You are more than just our quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. You are a symbol of hope and determination for all of us kids who have gone down the halls of the Patricia Allen wing.
My sisters were treated here. Your humble spirit really brings a smile to our faces while watching the game.
You'll always be an MVP both on and off the field.
People always look up to you, and you give us so much hope. Congrats on the MVP, Blake.
Congratulations, MVP. MVP. Go Bills. Josh was my MVP.
Congratulations on winning MVP.
I love you, Josh.
Why are you guys doing this to me? Man. I mean, it's pretty cool. I don't know what else to say. Yeah. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. My job's not that hard. I play football. What you guys have to go through and continue to fight through is much harder than I do, and I look up to you as much as you look up to me, and I really appreciate that. Love you guys. I want to cry tonight.
And then we had the Hall of Fame inductees. We got to welcome Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp to the NFL. I never really watched Eric Allen or Sterling Sharp. I know Sterling Sharp was kind of a segue into the receiving tight ends in the league. Eric Allen was a great corner. But I remember Jared Allen and Antonio Gates, and they were fun to watch. Jared Allen with his flowing hair, and Antonio Gates just being an absolute animal at tight end, being a former basketball player, and just high-pointing and mossing over linebackers. They were phenomenal to watch. But with them getting in, that means some people didn't get in. So I think the snubs from this year are players like Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, Steve Smith Sr., Adam Vinatieri, Marshall Yonda, and Reggie Wayne. I kind of also put those in the order that I think that they got the most snubbed. Luke Kuechly, it is criminal that he did not get first ballot Hall of Fame. He was the lifeblood of the Carolina Panthers defense. There's a video out there of him yelling at all of the other defensive players to get into position because he knew what the play was, and he was trying to put his team in a position to stop the offensive play. He was special. He had enormous football IQ and retired early, and I would have loved to see him be on a team that could have taken him far into the playoffs every year. He had Cam Newton, and they did go to the Super Bowl one year, but I think Luke Kuechly's career could have been much better. But that being said, even though I said that I think it could have been much better, I still think he's a first-round Hall of Famer. But I think he'll get in it next year. Eli Manning, same deal. I think he'll probably get it next time he's up. 2-time Super Bowl champion, beat Tom Brady, the best quarterback of all time, both times. Stats aren't the flashiest, but he performed whenever he needed to the most at the most highly sought-after position. So he'll definitely make it. Steve Smith Sr., very physical wide receiver. People doubted him, and he proved them wrong no matter where he went. Another Panther that was snubbed. I think he'll eventually make it in, but I think he might have trouble just like Hines Ward's having trouble because there's more flashier receivers out there than Steve Smith. Vinatieri is a kicker. Kickers are going to have problems getting in, but Vinatieri is one of the best, so I think he'll get in at some point. Yonda, a great guard for many, many years for the Ravens. I remember him in Madden always being a 98 or 99 overall, and if you didn't take him in a fantasy draft, then, you were not creating a good offensive line. And Reggie Wayne, great wide receiver, great route runner, playmaker. I can actually see Reggie Wayne kind of making it over Steve Smith, but I wouldn't agree with that. I would put Smith over Wayne, and I believe they all have Super Bowls except for Kuechly and Smith. So that might harm them. That might harm Kuechly or Smith to not make it into the Hall of Fame, because if you don't have the stats, you need to have the hardware. And Kuechly, with just being the playmaker he did, I think can help him, but Smith, we'll see how it goes. And then we got Eagles and Chiefs. Is it going to be an entertaining game? I hope so. A lot of people are going to watch it, even though they say they're not. People will tune in for the commercials, and you're still watching it then. I think it will be an entertaining game because you have a highly powered offense in the Eagles, and then you have Patrick Mahomes on the other side. and you have two good defenses. So I do think it'll be a close game. It's hard to tell who I'm going to root for. I'll tell you that I'm going to root for Barkley, so I guess I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles in this game. I want to see Barkley win a Super Bowl. That would be awesome. And I guess the biggest question that people have, the refs' impact on this game, are they going to side on the Chiefs? Are they going to side with the Eagles, especially after what happened in the Commanders game? I think people are obviously leaning that the Chiefs are going to get the refs' benefit of the doubt, but people could easily have said that the refs just helped the Eagles tremendously in that Commanders game. There were many blown calls that the refs missed or flagged someone who shouldn't have been flagged, like that fight that broke out between Lattimore and Brown, I think it was. Either they both should have been flagged or Brown should have been because he initiated it. So I actually think that they might offset each other in the refs. And so I do think that the Eagles, though, are going to come out on top. I think they just have the slight offensive advantage because of Barkley and this rushing attack. And so give me the Eagles 28, the Chiefs 27. Then there was a lot of players that are potentially can be traded in, after the season's done. There's players that have requested trades. Myles Garrett requested a trade. I'll show you the note that he wrote up to the fans. He wants to win a Super Bowl. He says he's not going to win it in Cleveland. I don't blame him. Cleveland has never won the Super Bowl, and that team looks like it's just getting worse. And so I don't blame Myles Garrett in this situation. I would want to go to a different team as well. The Rams said that they are trading Cup away, so I'm curious what these guys are going to get in offers. Myles Garrett's probably going to get a first and change, maybe 2 firsts, especially being how close to Defensive Player of the Year he was again. And Cup getting a little bit older, he might get go for a 3rd rounder. I think that's kind of a steal for a team who is just 1 or 2 weapons away from making a big push into the playoffs. Possible other trades that people are talking about might happen. Deebo Samuel, they might try to move off of him, get some draft capital back from him. Kirk Cousins, they're going to go with Penix now. They want to get away from that deal a little bit of Cousins, and there's a lot of quarterback needy teams, so I can see them dealing them, but what are they going to get for him? Be curious to see that. DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, some more wide receivers that are piquing people's interest. Garrett Wilson and George Pickens are really interesting because they're young guys that still have a lot left in the tank. I would be surprised if the Jets get rid of Wilson. They have a new head coach there. They just need to build better offense, and I think they're kind of on the right track with getting Aaron Glenn hired there and knowing the Lions culture and bringing that to the team. I think that if Wilson doesn't get dealt, that he'll still play well for them, and I would be shocked if they actually do deal him. Pickens, on the other hand, attitude problems. He is a spectacular talent, but the Steelers need players who are going to put 100% effort onto every play. And lately, they feels like they've been grabbing all these diva wide receivers that are actually showing it on the field and not playing to their potential. So some people have said that a 2nd or a 3rd round for Pickens. I would be very interested in something like that, especially with how the wide receivers are in this draft. You grab a couple of those guys and you can maybe see what you're doing for the future. Derek Carr is thought to be dealt as well. Quay Walker, Sam Hubbard, Tyrann Mathieu. They're trying to get rid of some cap there. And then we got some offensive linemen with Evan Neal and Kenyon Green. The offseason is going to be interesting with a lot of moves around the NFL and these free agent signings. I'm going to switch it a little bit to a different sport. I'm going to talk about some NBA. There was also some big trades there with Butler going to the Warriors. It included 5 teams, a 5-team trade in order for that to happen. The Warriors get Butler, 2 second-round picks and cash. The Heat get Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Davion Mitchell, and a top 10 protected first round from the Warriors. The Jazz get KJ Martin, Josh Richardson, 2028 second round, Pistons pick from the 76ers, 2031 second round pick from the Heat and cash as well. The Pistons get Dennis Schroeder, Lindy Waters third, and 2031 second round pick. And the Raptors get PJ Tucker, 2026 second round pick, the Heat, and cash. I think the Heat kind of got the best deal out of this just because Butler he was not being a good sport there. He didn't want to play there. The Heat put him on suspension. So why not deal him, get some players in return, get a pick in return, and kind of wipe your hands clean from that mess. And you get Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and Davion Mitchell, some players that they're not spectacular, but they work hard. They're team players. And they're guys that can come off the bench and do supporting role stuff. And you get that potential first-round pick as long as it's not top 10. I don't see the Warriors dropping into the top 10. I think they're 11th right now and might make it into the playoffs. So I would be very surprised to see that, especially now that Butler is going on to the Warriors. Does that help the Warriors enough to make a playoff push or in the future help Curry get to another NBA Finals? I don't think so. There's a lot of young talent that are really emerging in like Chet Holmgren and Shai Alexander for the Thunder. You got Jokic still out there. You got Luka out there, which I'm going to talk about that in a second. You got these teams with strong cores, and I don't think there's enough big men on the Warriors to make a significant impact. The next big trade was Anthony Davis and Luka swapping teams. Luka is now a Laker. Anthony Davis is now a Mav. This was a 3-team trade. The Lakers got Luka, Max Kleber, and Markieff Morris. Dallas got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, a 2029 first-round pick from the Lakers. And then the Jazz were also involved in this. They got Jalen Hood, 2025 second-round pick from the Clippers, 2025 second round from the Mavs. Time will only tell on who really got the better trade out of this. Right now, where it stands, I think the Lakers have. Luka is a spectacular generational type of player. Anthony Davis is spectacular, but he also just got hurt in his this last game. We'll see how Luka kind of fits that scheme with LeBron James and the players that are around him. The Jazz are kind of building up. They're building up picks, and they're trying to get some players around between both trades. They got KJ Martin, Josh Richardson, Jalen Hood, a 2028 second round pick, a 2031 second round pick, a 2025 second round, 2 2025 second round picks. So the Jazz are making some moves to potentially be a good team in the future. They're just not good right now. I also want to start a segment called Final Whistle to be the last segment of the show. I'm going to show highlights around this around different sports and any final like news that I have, but I'm just going to be showing highlights. So we got a hole-in-one on the 16th at the Phoenix Open. This was awesome. Beers went flying. What a time to hit a hole-in-one. Go ahead and watch.
Just seconds ago. Rizzo setting up. Oh, go ahead and just do that. A slam dunk. Nothing but net. Swish.
And then we have Fox hitting a buzzer beater, but it doesn't help them win. He was so close. It was an ice in the vein shot, but the Hornets come up on top. It could have been so close to an amazing win, but in the end, it was a defeat. Check this one out.
De'Aaron Fox's second game as a Spur. Trying to make a name for himself. LaMelo's got it. Sohan in front of him. LaMelo. Corner three! Yes! Didn't get it off! Didn't get it off! They say it's good, but I don't think he got it off. Wow. I don't think he got it off. De'Aaron Fox hits it, but was the ball still on his fingers? Yes! Yeah. It's over! The Hornets are going to win!
And that's going to do it this week. Another episode of the Kickoff Culture Show in the books. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next time. Peace.